All right. So, welcome to Stretch Roll and Restore. You need a little ball, yoga strap, or a towel will work, a mat, and we are going to use the wall today. So, I'm going to orientate myself to the wall. You're not going to see my head for a lot of this. I'm going to show you more, especially in the beginning here, what my feet are doing. So, we're going to start by rolling the feet. All right, so we're going to roll the feet 2 minutes on each side. And remember, we want to focus on rolling the bottoms of our feet. So if you think of your palm of your hand instead of the bottom of your foot, from the heel of your hand to the knuckles, right in that space, what we call the palm, imagine that space on your foot. And that's what I want you to explore with the ball. Back and forth. And then I want you to think of 3 zones. So if my big toe, or my thumb is my big toe, that's my inside or medial side. If my pinky finger is my pinky toe, that's my lateral or outside. And then the zone right at the middle. So try to explore all 3 zones there in the ball. Going back and forth, pushing as hard as you want to, right? The depth is totally up to you. And I'm next to a wall here, you can't see it, but I got my hand on the wall just for a little bit of support. I'm not leaning into it, but just lets me focus a little bit more on what I'm doing with the foot. So what I'm looking for is tight spots, right? So little adhesions in the fascia. This is our plantar fascia we're working on right now. So I want to pay attention to tight spots, and it seems like this morning I have quite a few in that arch of my foot, so with my toe kind of pointed down, big toe pointed down. That's the space I'm going to kind of spend a little bit more time going a little bit back and forth. And in the second minute here, I'm going to do what's called polka dotting. I'm going to kind of focus on that space. So I've got a tight spot down here by my heel, and then another one up here by the knuckle of my big toe. Okay. So you can keep rolling, or if you're ready, I'm going to go into what I call polka dotting. So I'm going to put the ball specifically in a spot that I feel is tight. I'm going to rock onto that spot, hold it, wiggle my toes, and then rock off. Right? And then I'm going to find another spot. Rock on, wiggle my toes, rock off. Right? Rock on, wiggle my toes, rock off. So what I'm doing here is I'm pinning and stretching. I'm pinning that tight spot, that trigger point, and then I'm stretching the fascia out from that trigger point to try to get it to release. Right? So just rock on, wiggle the toes, rock off. We're still in that same space between the ball of the foot and the heel of the foot. And I'm going to do a little bit in all 3 zones. So I'm going to go out here to that pinky side as well. Really try to stretch. Imagine everything in here stretching as you spread your toes out nice and wide. Good. Just a little bit longer on this foot. Good. And shake that foot out. So we didn't do a pre-test, but we're going to do a little retest here. So what we're going to do is focus on how that side feels. The foot that you just rolled, which here's my right, that's the foot I just rolled. I'm going to try to balance on that foot and find how that balance feels, right? Feel the little muscles in my foot working. They're grabbing the floor. My ankle is moving a little bit, but it's nice and steady. Versus the foot I have not rolled yet. This is my left, right? Just a lot more activity, especially in that upper leg, trying to make up for what I feel is inactivity in my foot, right? So I feel areas in here working a lot harder than I did on the foot that I rolled, right? So see if you go a little side to side and see what differences you notice. And again, we're just rolling the foot. That's all we've done. Roll the foot, right? So on the foot that I rolled, I feel these muscles working, but it's more like a, oof, yeah, I got it. Stuck it, instead of, oh, I'm not sure what I need to do here. Because on my left foot, my left side, I feel like these muscles are like, what do I do, right? On this side, everything's like, yep, got it, and I'm awake, I'm ready to go, okay? All right, let's go to the other side. So roll, do the other foot. And remember my rule here, if you find a side that needs more help, please spend more time on that side. You know your body better than anybody, and this goal of this class is to help you learn your body even better. So please spend time where you need it. I encourage you to explore both sides, but if you find that there's really nothing going on one foot and there's a bunch going on the other foot, go back to that first foot or spend time on that side that needs it more. All right? So remember, medial, central, and all the way out that you see out here. I'm going to kind of squishing that ball way out to the side on my pinky toe side. Right? Back and forth. We want to pretty much do a vertical pattern here, so we're going from toes to heel. Go a little back and forth if you want, or maybe just a little bit of a circular pattern. I like the vertical because that goes kind of in line with the fibers of the foot, instead of doing that cross friction, which can be a little bit, I think, too painful in this space. But again, try things, see what works for you. All right, so coming up, we're going to do that same thing. We're going to poke it out this foot. All right, so pay attention to areas that might be tight. Again, on this foot, arch of my foot, I'm finding more tightness there than I am the rest of the foot. All right, so I'm going to put it right here, down by my heel, right inside that arch. I'm going to rock onto it, wiggle the toes, rock off. Rock on, wiggle the toes. And when I say wiggle, again, I'm trying to really lift and spread the toes, rock off. Really trying to stretch the tissues near the bottom of my foot. But rock on, rock off. And another 30 seconds. And if you want to spend this extra 30 going back to your first foot, whatever you need to do. Rock on, rock off. And remember our breath all through that out this class. We'll focus specifically at the end, but never, never lose your breath here. Big inhales and exhales throughout. All right, so shake that foot. Now do the same test. One foot. Okay, this is the foot I just rolled. Feels so much better than before I rolled it. A lot more active. Right? Again, this side still got the bigger muscles ready and ready to go. And on this side I just rolled, a lot more activity, especially for me in the quad and glutes. Ready to roll. I'm just going to do a few just squats here, down and up, down and up. All right, big key to our squat form, if I turn this way, is the flexibility there at the ankle. And if we have lots of tightness in the foot, we're not going to get that mobility through the ankle. Do a couple more. Should feel more awake all through those quads. All right. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the lower leg. So we're going to work on the calf. Coming down to the floor with your ball. Okay. I'm going to focus on the calf muscle. Right. You can roll a little forward and back. Right. A little side to side here. Circles. And what I want you to do is just explore this area. Calf is basically made up of two muscles, right? You got your gastroc, which is that big outer calf muscle that you can see. And then underneath of that is your soleus muscle. And that soleus muscle is the primary mover of your ankle. So when you think about picking up your toes, when you're walking, moving from side to side, most of that movement is done with that soleus. So that muscle especially tends to get really tight. And once it does, we tend to lose that mobility in our ankle, and that affects our stride and our balance. Okay? So moving around, you're going to get here mostly gastroc. So you can get that outer side here right next to that outer leg bone. That's your fibula. Okay? Rolling back and forth, and you can kind of lift your hips up and go bigger vertical motions up and down. All right, and then I'm going to go to the inside. So now I'm right up against that tibia bone, that bigger shin bone down there. Right up, that kind of that ball is nestled right up next to it. Again, I'm moving around at my ankle. I'm trying to get that movement, release the tension in the calf, and add movement at the joint. Right? Now to find that soleus, I'm going to show you on this leg. I'm going to grab that gastroc and pull it to the outside. Now when I pull it to the outside, where my fingers end up, kind of you pull that gastroc aside, and now you can kind of get a little bit closer and deeper into that soleus. Right? So right there, I'm sitting on my soleus, and again, that is the one that does most of that flexion of the ankle back and forth. Okay? And you can get really tight. So same thing on this side. All right, we're going to be here for just a little over a minute. So go ahead and switch between the two sides. I've done a little bit without really telling you. So go ahead and switch to whatever you need to do. Right? Spend a little time finding the soleus on both sides. Because even if you don't have tightness in that outer calf muscle, underneath you might have some soreness in that space. Right? So again, I'm doing a little horizontal. I do prefer the vertical motion. Back and forth, and I'm just kind of, my butt's on the floor, I'm just kind of wiggling back and forth. Doing a little bit with toes up, a little bit with toes pointed. And out here on that outer edge, have a tight spot here. I'm going to press and hold. And just like we did with the feet, I'm going to hold that pressure, and then I'm going to move, right? So I'm moving at the ankle, getting that fascia that's in my lower leg to just stretch, right? Soleus is connected to the Achilles, so if you have tightness in the Achilles, please try to spend some time there on that soleus muscle. Big inhales and exhales. Inhales and exhales. Good, and we'll go 30 more seconds here in the calves, and then we're going to come up and stretch both the feet and the calf. So much of what we do, right, in an upright position starts at our feet, into our calves, up the chain, right? So we want to always spend time at the lower part of our body. Has such an impact on everything above it. Spend time in bare feet if you can. Around the house. Even take your socks off, because even if that really isn't, socks tend to bind your feet up as well. I'm not a proponent of barefoot running, but I do think you should spend time, if it's comfortable, barefoot throughout your day. Good. All right. So give those calves a little bit of a shake, a little bit of rub, and we're going to come up, and using our wall, we're going to stretch the feet and calves. Okay? So we're going to start with the feet. What I want you to focus on is all 10 toes pointed forward. So I'm not pivoting open here like we do in some other stretches. I'm going to take my rear foot back. In this case, it's my right. And I'm going to push my heel to the floor. And my hands into the wall. Tucking my tailbone, pressing that hip forward. So I'm getting a little hip lengthening as well, hip flexor lengthening. But I want you to focus on heel down and then hip forward. Starting with that knee straight, getting a nice stretch through that back calf. Let's hold it here for 3 breaths. Good, now we're gonna focus on the bottom of that same foot. So I'm gonna come up on the toes. I'm gonna push my toes down into the floor. I'm gonna lift my heel up to the ceiling, same thing. Tailbone is tucked, hip pressing forward, focusing on the bottom of my foot for 3 breaths. Good, now I'm gonna push that heel back down. Going back to that calf stretch, so tailbone tucked, hip press forward, but now I'm going to bend my knee just a little bit so I can feel that stretch down towards my Achilles and calf. Notice my heel stays on the floor here, and hold for 3 breaths. Good, last one, and stretch the top of the foot, so I'm going to flip my toes over. Now the tops of my toes go into the floor, the front of my ankle, so I'm talking this space right here, and kind of kick forward to the wall. Again, hands on the wall, tailbone tuck, pressing that hip forward. 3 breaths. Feel that stretch right on the top of the foot, front of the ankle. Good, and shake that out. And let's go to the other side. Heel down, tailbone tucked, knee straight, pressing that heel down, vertical. Think about horizontal, forward, okay? Remember when we stretch, we want to be an active stretch. And just double check. I gave my little glance back at my toes. They're spun a little bit out, so I'm going to just straighten them up a little bit. All toes pointed forward. One more breath. Good, and I'm going to come up on my toes, the heel up to the ceiling. All right, hip forward, constantly pressing through those toes. Heel up. Good, and then coming back down and keeping the heel down. Bend the knee, don't force it, just gradually let that knee bend. Reaching for the toes, but I'm still actively pressing my heel down into the floor. Let's do 2 more breaths. Good, and then bottom of the foot, or sorry, top of the foot. Tops of the toes into the floor, front of the ankle forward, as if you're gonna kick and your toes get stuck on the ground. You're still kicking forward. Hold, hold, hold as you breathe. 2 more breaths. Good. And shake that out. Okay. And let's go back. Just do a little retest here of your squat. See if you got any increased mobility there in the ankle. Right, down and up and down and up. Good. So working the feet and calves can make a difference just on the depth of your squat, right? To increase the depth of your squat. Shake it out. All right, so grab your ball again. We're going to move up the chain. We're going to not go too far. I'm going to spend a little time on the quads today. So back to our anatomy. So straight up the middle, you drew a line from your hip bone straight down to your knee, that thick strip in there that goes straight up the middle, IT band. Okay, so we're not going to change really the IT band, but what we can do is work on the muscles that surround the IT band. So on the front is our vastus lateralis, right here, the lateral part of our quad. And behind that we have our lateral hamstring. But what we're going to focus on today is that vastus lateralis. So we're going to focus on the muscle tissue. Okay, so I'll do it here so if you can see me. I'm going to put it just in front of the center. You drew a line from your hip to your knee. I'm just going to just put it forward of that center line. Okay. Now I'm just going to nuzzle that ball in there. The knee is bent. I'm going to do a little back and forth. So the ball is working its way down towards the knee and then back up to the hip. And I'm inhaling, exhaling here. Right, and I can rotate my leg in, the knee into the wall a little bit, and then I'm getting a little bit more into the depth of that vastus lateralis. And I'm staying from mid quad up, right? Go down too close to knee, you're gonna get less of that muscle tissue and just more of that fibrous IT that's going to be painful. So we want to focus on what we can change, and that's the myofascia around the muscle tissue. Okay. We'll stay on this side for about 20 more seconds and then flip over to the other side. Okay. So you can even go up as high as this space here. This is feel around for your bony landmarks, right? Use those. You don't want to roll the bone itself, but the connective tissue and the muscle tissue, that's what we're targeting here with the ball. Okay, and then switch to the other side. So I don't know if this is definitely not going to be a better angle for you, but I'm going to show you here where I have the ball on my other leg. So I've got it right in here, and it's kind of nuzzled up against that IT band, and I'm just rolling just that little space right there. Right. So IT comes up, feeds into what's called your tenor fasciolata, or TFL, which is this fibrous tissue that's right here. Imagine if you're putting your fingers in your front pockets, that's your TFL. Those are thick fibrous tissues. Again, we're not going to change those a whole lot. We can stretch all the muscles around them, and we can use the ball on the muscles around them. We're not really going to change those super fibrous tissues. What we want that vastus lateralis especially to do is be able to contract and slide opposite of the IT band. Okay? What happens is they tend to get locked down and kind of stuck to each other. So what we're trying to do is get some fluid in there, and then that allows for more beneficial movement of that lateralis with the IT band instead of just being stuck down. Okay? So about 20 more seconds on this side. Work down a little bit. Now I'm in this space. And again, you can kind of work forward into that a little bit more of the front quad by just turning that leg towards the wall a little bit, or turning your knee towards the wall, I guess is the best way to think about it. Good, and then shake that out. So put your ball down for the side, or just hold on to it. We're going to do a little bit of stretching, focusing on that quad. So I'm going to bring the foot up to my hand. You notice my heel is right next to my butt if you can get it there. But more importantly, I want that knee tucked underneath the hip. Don't want to be out here. We want to actually tuck it in nice and tight. Stand tall. Use a wall if you need to. And we're focused on that hip. So I got my tailbone tucked. I'm still pressing my hip forward. 3 breaths. Good, and switch to the other side. Nice, so notice my tendency is to come out here. I'm going to tuck that knee in, stand nice and tall. Goal is to get the knee underneath the hip if you can do it. Still pressing that hip forward. And shake that out. Good, okay. So last bit of rolling here, we're going to roll the glutes, low glutes, high glutes, a little bit in this hip space, and then we'll stretch there as well. So we're going to start in the low glute space, glute max, going a little bit more of a horizontal pattern here. The glute muscles of the glute actually go a little bit on a diagonal pattern from your hip joint in towards that tailbone, okay? So you can kind of find that diagonal pattern or just go in a horizontal pattern, basically in to out in this low glute space. But you can find that deep in there, find that ball and socket joint, and maybe just do a little around, okay? So you're kind of tracing the circular pattern of that hip joint in there. Okay, a little horizontal pattern, a little bit of a tracing of that circle, and then just switch. We'll do about another minute here in the low glute before going to the high glute. And again, horizontal, and then maybe tracing the circle of that hip joint, ball and socket joint. So if this is my ball and socket joint, I'm just kind of nuzzling the ball all around it. Right up next to it, not on it, all around it. Lots of little connections, muscles that crisscross in that space. Fascia that connects in that space. Good. So next up, we're going to find the high glute. Right. So if you use that bony landmark again at the top of your pelvis, right? I'm going to nuzzle the ball right underneath the rim of that pelvis, and I'm going to go again, horizontal pattern into out. So right now I'm at the very top edge of that, right at the rim, and then I can move the ball just a little bit further down and go into out, and move it a little bit further down and go into out. So not even a full half circumference of the ball that we're moving up and down, but do move it up and down a little bit. I want to find that was the ridge, right at the top of my pelvis. I'm going to put the ball here and move it down and move it down a little bit more, but still staying in that high glute space. Right, and then just switch between the two sides. Good. Again, nestling right up there underneath the ridge, and then coming down. Good. And then for the rest of the minute, I want you to explore a little bit right there on the side. Okay? I'm right there on the side. Here's the top of my pelvis, so I'm going to explore in this space here. Right, kind of between the ridge of the pelvis and that bony ball and socket joint. I'm exploring this space right here along the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a stretch that focuses on that space right in here, right on both sides. Good. It's where that glute med comes in and wraps around and attaches. Good. Okay. So we've rolled here. We want to focus, what we're going to focus on next in the stretch is right here on that outer hip. All right. So I'm going to take my leg that's away from the wall. I'm going to cross it behind the other. So I'm here, but I want you to give a little squeeze of the inner thighs, a little squeeze together. All right. Now I want you to send that back leg, hip, out. So it's going out that way. And I'm going to send it a little bit forward. So as it goes out, I'm just going to kind of tuck my tailbone, press it forward. I'm getting that stretch right through this space. Now, to get a little bit more, I can take that same side arm up, reach up the wall. I'm putting my hand above my head and kind of pushing the wall. You can see my lower hand here pushing the wall as I press that hip out. Nice and easy. Keeping those legs squeezed together just a little bit. Creating that tension to stretch. And this is targeting that outer hip. You're going to get a little bit of that TFL space, right? And when you're ready, come back up, switch to the other side. So again, I'm going to take my leg away from the wall, swing it behind, get my legs a little squeezed together, stick that hip out, press it forward, and up and over. And I'm just going to keep going on this side so you have a little bit view of what we're doing. So I'm going straight out, and then I'm pressing forward as well. My legs squeeze together. And again, hands on the wall optional. We might give you a little bit better stretch through the hip and maybe even a little bit into that low back. Good, and coming back up, shake that out, and go ahead and find your way to the floor. And we'll finish stretching down here, focusing on the hamstrings, continue a little bit with the hip. Nice, we're gonna come down to the floor. We're gonna start in our half kneel, and this is where if you have that pillow, you can put it under that back knee if you like. So I'm gonna tuck my back toe. I'm a 90-degree bend in the front knee, 90-degree bend in the back knee. The leg that is down, that tailbone is tucked, I'm pressing forward. I'm gonna take that same side arm up, climb the ladder with it, reach it up, and then just reach a little bit to my left side. So my right knee is down. I'm reaching up and over to the left side, and now I'm getting that same area, stretching that same area, maybe a little bit more into that side body. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good, coming back. Now that front leg, we're gonna focus on the hamstring. Heel away, toe back, hinge forward. So I've got a nice flat back. You can put your hands on the leg or all the way down on the floor. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, and reach those toes back. Get that stretch into the back of the hamstring. Good, and let's come back to our half kneel. Hands down now, or hands down in front, inside that front foot. My back toe is tucked. And I want you to kind of squeeze that back glute and think about lifting the back knee. If that doesn't work for you, you can keep the knee on the floor. But if you can pick up that back knee, I want you to think about sending the heel away, head forward. Now we're targeting that front hip or back hip flexor as well. And we can do a little rock here, just nice and slow, forward to back. And maybe a little side to side. So I'm just kind of leaning into that front leg. Still keeping that back hip lifted, that glute tight. Good, and then if that knee's up, come back down. Come back to our half kneel and switch. All right, so we're at 90-90. Okay, the knee that is down, that same arm goes up, climbing the ladder, and then over. So I'm still pressing the hip forward. Okay, that's not twisting. The shoulders are moving a little bit, but the hips are stationary here, pressing forward. Good, and then shift back, heel down, toes pulled up, hinge at the hip. Big inhales, exhales. Stretching all this space. Good, and then come back to our half kneel. Hands down inside this foot, tucking that back toe, picking up the knee, and again, lengthening, think heel back, head forward, and we can add that little rock if that feels good. Front to back. And a little rock, side to side. Good, and come on down. Now we're gonna come down onto our back. I'm gonna pull it around this way. So we're gonna come down onto our back. And from here, we're gonna do a little bit of work in that outer hip space again with our reclined pigeon. So I've got one leg crossover, making that number 4 position. I'm gonna reach through, grab the back of that other leg, pull that towards me. I'm gonna pull it here. And if you want, you can put a little pressure on the inside of that knee, pushing it away from your face. And you can also add a little rock side to side here. So we're targeting the outer hip of that leg that's folded in front. And then what we're going to do from here, we're going to continue to stretch that TFL space. So I've got my left foot folded in front. Okay, so the bottom of my left foot is going to be what I'm thinking about for the placement up here. Okay, so I'm rocking side to side. And I'm going to take the bottom of my left foot Legs stay exactly the same. And take the bottom of my left foot over to the right side of my body. Right? So bottom of my left foot on the floor. My legs are in the same position. I'm going to try to open up back here, getting a nice rotation through that spine and thoracic spine. Right? I'm going to take the inside of my hand, just push that knee away a little bit. So this, I'm targeting right here in that upper glute, right? Upper hip space, a little bit of that TFL. Take 3 breaths. And then to come back, I'm going to grab that bent knee, pull it into my chest, coming back to that number 4 position. And then I'm going to switch. Okay? So we're going to start with that reclined pigeon, grabbing that leg, pulling it towards me, rocking side to side. Okay? And then bottom of my right foot is going to come to the left side of my body. Legs still in the same contortion here. Right? So bottom of my right foot comes to my left side. I'm going to open up to the right. A little pressure on the inside of that knee if that works for you. You should feel that stretch in the top of the right hip. Big inhales and exhales. Inhales and exhales. Good. And then to come back again, you're going to grab that front knee, come here. Right? And then we're going to come here, knees to chest. And as we hug knees to chest, I want you to think about pushing your tailbone down into the mat. So hugging those knees in tight. Continuing a little rock side to side. And we're going to finish up here. We've done a lot of hips, a little bit of hamstrings. We're going to finish here with kind of a combination stretch, both hip and hamstring. Okay? And this is where, if you have a yoga strap or a towel, you can use it. You don't need it, you don't need it, but it can assist you here in this stretch. Okay? So what we're going to do, using your strap, put it around one foot, and you're going to try to come to that, basically a happy baby position. You can see here, right? Where my thigh is parallel to the floor, but my foot is rotated in. And then what I'm going to do is rotate that foot and leg out and up into a hamstring stretch. I'm going to rotate in, stretching that hip, and then rotate and lengthen out. And rotate in, and rotate out and extend. So I'm really think about my hips staying still on the mat. And I'm reaching out and up. Knee does not have to get straight, right? It can stay a little bit bent. In, to, out. And this leg can stay long. If it's more comfortable for you to bend it, that's fine as well. Right? Now, if you can do this without the strap, go for it. In and out, stretching that outer hamstring, right? And of course the hip. Just about 15 more seconds here. Moving in that hip joint. Good. All right. So same thing on the other side. Start with the strap, and then if you don't feel like you don't need it, you can go ahead and drop it out. So I've got the foot in towards the center of my body, and then I'm going to extend out and up. And notice I've got no rocking, no movement here through the back of my hip. That's anchored into the floor. The thing about my hips is kind of stuck in cement. And I'm going to reach my leg out and up. out of that bog of cement. Extend. Getting that fluid moving in the hip. Stretch through the hamstrings. Just about 15 more seconds here. Good. All right. So we're going to finish with legs up the wall. And I'll give you several options here. We've done a lot of hamstring stretching. So if you can, get nice and close, get your hips nice and close to your wall, and then legs up at that full extension, full length. Right? If that's not comfortable to you, go ahead and bend, right? And scoot your hips back, find a 90-90 position on the wall. But if you can, get your hips nice and close, even where your bum's kind of touching the wall a little bit, and then get those legs straight up. And then you can pull the toes down to the shin and continue to get a nice stretch here through the hamstrings. You can bring your legs out on the wall, rotate the toes open, continuing with that rotation through the hips, right? You can kind of take those legs and do this motion and that outward rotation. Just find a comfortable position here, wherever that is. And once you find it, then kind of tune in to the breath. And I encourage you to take time here to spend on your breath. I'm going to take you through about 3 full cycles, but I encourage you to stay here and spend a little bit more time after I sign off. So remember, our breath always starts with the belly. Think about big inhale, letting that belly fill and expand. And then continue that breath into the diaphragm area, that space between the belly and the rib cage. Big muscle there, expand it, and then continue that breath into the lungs, expanding the rib cage in all directions, and then start the exhale from the top, from the ribs, lungs, diaphragm. Finish with the belly, pulling the belly button into the spine, pulling the pelvic floor up towards your center. And then again, big belly breath, diaphragm, lungs, and reverse. And I could, again, encourage you to take some more breaths here. Focus on the belly. At the start of your inhale, take it up to the diaphragm, through the lungs, really allowing that rib cage to expand to its full capacity, front to back, side to side. And then exhale, nice and slow, pulling that belly button in, pulling the pelvic floor up. And I'm going to sign off, and I will see you guys back on Wednesday. Have a great day, everybody, and stay cool. Thanks for joining me this morning.